Some messages arrive softly. Others arrive like a knock you didn't ask for, on a door you already closed. I was standing in my kitchen on a Saturday morning when my phone buzzed, sunlight slanting through the blinds, coffee still too hot to drink, the world quiet in the rare, earned way that only comes after chaos has burned itself out. I hadn't been waiting for anything. That was the point. I'd finally reached that place where expectation no longer followed me like a shadow. Then I saw her name. Rachel. 6 words. That's all it took to make me laugh out loud. We need to talk. It can't wait. I stared at the screen for a moment, not with shock, not with anger, but with something closer to amusement. The kind that only shows up when something that used to control your heartbeat suddenly doesn't. Before I tell you what I did next, let me say this. If you're someone who believes in second chances, but not at the cost of your dignity, if you believe boundaries aren't cruelty, but survival, if you believe the biggest victories often arrive quietly, years later, then you'll understand why this moment mattered more than it looked. My name is Jack Anderson, and this is the story of how silence became my strength. It was one of those mornings that feels like a reward. The apartment was clean in the way a place gets clean when it's no longer hosting arguments. No tension hiding in corners. No air thick with words unsaid. Just space. Paciful, neutral, mine. I leaned against the counter, phone in one hand, coffee in the other. My brain did the math automatically, even though I wasn't counting anymore. 1 year, 3 months, and some loose change since the divorce papers were signed. There was a time when that number would have meant everything, progress measured in survival. But now it was just information, a fact, like knowing how long a scar had been healed without feeling it itch. I set the phone face down on the counter, took another sip of coffee. It tasted better than usual. That last please told me everything. Desperation has sound, even when it's typed. For context, Rachel and I were married for 12 years. 12 years is long enough to confuse endurance with love, especially when you're the type of person who believes commitment means trying harder when things hurt. The final 2 years of our marriage followed a familiar script, one I didn't recognize until I was already living inside it. Everything wrong in Rachel's life traced back to me. I wasn't attentive enough, not ambitious enough, not exciting enough, not emotional in the right way, not distant in the right way either. I was always just one flaw short of being acceptable. At the same time, she grew closer to a guy from her office, Brian. It started innocently enough, at least on the surface. Lunches that turned into dinners. Quick check-ins that stretched into late-night conversations. Messages that arrived at all hours, always explained away with casual dismissal. When I asked about it, I was controlling. When I mentioned boundaries, I was insecure. Funny how accountability always sounds like an insult to the wrong person. The divorce dragged on for 8 months. 8 months of emotional whiplash. 1 week she wanted me back. The next week, she blamed me for giving up. One moment I was heartless. The next, I was abandoning her. By the time it was finalized, I wasn't angry anymore. I was empty. And then, slowly, I wasn't. Slowly, the emptiness turned into space. And space turned into freedom. Which is why that text, a year later, didn't shake me. Why phone buzzed again. I know you're upset, but this is important. Can we meet? Upset. That word made me smile. I wasn't upset. I was indifferent. And indifference is a position of real power. I picked up the phone, typed without overthinking, and hit send. Maybe another time. I'm on a date with your younger sister. The 3 dots appeared instantly. Disappeared. Appeared again. Then nothing. It wasn't a lie. Lauren, Rachel's younger sister, and I had plans that afternoon. Whether she would call it a date or not was up to her, but I was done minimizing things that felt honest just to protect someone who never protected me. Lauren was different from Rachel in every way that mattered. Where Rachel demanded attention, Lauren offered conversation. Where Rachel treated me like a project that needed fixing, Lauren treated me like a person worth knowing. We started talking months after the divorce. She reached out through a mutual friend. She said she wanted to apologize for how her sister had treated me during the marriage. She'd seen some of it firsthand at family gatherings, and she felt uneasy staying silent. That apology turned into coffee. Coffee turned into walks. Walks turned into long conversations where nothing felt forced. Nothing rushed. Just two adults discovering how calm can feel when manipulation isn't in the room. That morning, after sending the message, my phone stayed silent. No follow-ups, no calls, no explosions. I finished my coffee, got dressed, and headed to the park. Lauren was already there when I arrived, sitting on the edge of a stone bench near the fountain. One leg crossed casually, jacket draped beside her. She looked relaxed, not performing, not bracing. When she saw me, her face brightened. Not strategically, just genuinely. "Hey," she said, standing to give me a quick hug. Nothing dramatic, nothing possessive, just warm. "Hey," I replied. "Been waiting long." "Couple minutes," she said. Gave me time to people watch. She nodded toward the path. It's amazing how much you can tell about someone just by how they walk. I laughed and sat beside her. The fountain filled the space between us. Easy, steady. We didn't rush to fill the silence. That alone felt like a luxury. "My morning took an interesting turn," I said finally. She tilted her head. "That sounds loaded." "Your sister texted me." There it was. Not shock, acceptance. "I figured it was only a matter of time," she said. "Urgent talk," I replied. "Lots of please." Lauren glanced at me, already guessing the rest. I showed her my reply. She read it, then laughed, shaking her head. "You really told her we were on a date? Are we not?" She gave me a look. "You know that's going to send her into orbit." "That's not my responsibility." She studied me for a moment longer, then nodded. "Fair enough." We leaned back, watching sunlight catch the water spray. "She's only urgent when she needs something," Lauren said quietly. "Always has been." "That's the impression I'm getting." "She won't like being ignored," Lauren added. "But honestly, that's probably the healthiest thing you could do." That was one of the reasons I liked her. She didn't sugarcoat. She didn't confuse loyalty with denial. Later that evening, curiosity got the better of me. I checked my phone. No messages from Rachel. That surprised me. But there was one from Mark, a mutual friend who'd somehow stayed neutral through the divorce. "Call me when you can. I think you should hear this from me." I stared at the screen longer than I meant to. Mark didn't call unless it mattered. When I finally dialed, he picked up on the second ring. "Hey," he said carefully. "I'm not trying to drag you into anything, but I figured you'd want a heads up." He paused. "Rachel's pregnant." The words landed heavier than I expected. Not because I cared for her anymore, but because suddenly everything made sense. "And Brian?" I asked. "He's gone," Mark said. "Took off when he found out." Of course he did that. I leaned against the counter and closed my eyes. A year ago, this would have wrecked me. I would have rushed in, tried to fix it, played the steady one again. But that version of me no longer existed.